Welcome back, Emperor Champagne Club members, and Happy New Year. It is the beginning of 2020. It's a new generation. We're very excited. We've got lots of amazing events and champagne for you this year. And also a big welcome and a big shout out to all of our new Champagne Club members. We are growing rapidly across Australia, so I hope to see you at one of our champagne events next month. Now, we are revisiting a topic which I personally happen to love, and I think that we needed to do it. And the topic this month is Extra Brut champagne. So this is at the final stage of production. The yeast has come out of the bottle, the disgorgement process, and then the winemaker has his final part of influence in the style of the wine, and that is how much dosage, how much sugar he adds to the bottle. Now, let's be clear. This addition of sugar is for stylistic reasons. It's not to do with the winemaking process. It's not triggering any fermentation. It's purely for style. But when we're adding sugar to champagne, there's a purpose. Champagne, very cool climate, grapes are high in acidity, and we're using sugar to temper that acidity. Now, in my opinion, for far too long, too much sugar was added at this stage and it became stylistic. We're not baking cakes. We're making wine. We don't want to cover the talent and the expertise of the winemaker by putting in too much sugar, and therefore I am all for an extra brut or an extra dry champagne where it's just a small amount of sugar. Much like you would add a half a teaspoon of sugar to a cup of tea to balance tannin, you would do the same when you are making a champagne. Two amazing wines. I think we've got a stellar lineup to kick off the new year. The first champagne that I'm presenting to you this month is for all of our lovers and all of our connoisseurs. It's a house I've had my eye on for a little while now. They've been in Australia for a couple of years. It's the Maison Vadin-Plateau. Founded in 1785, so a serious history within the Champagne region, by no means a newcomer. We've got the 9th generation winemaker at the helm of the house in Jan Vadin. Now, we've got the house located in the Marne Valley, the Valley de la Marne, where we have the lovely village of Cumières. The family also have 4 other plots, 7 hectares in total. We have Vandieres, where Dom Perignon first had his winemaking practice. We have Damery, we have Champignon, and we have Ailly. So 5 exceptional plots of land. Very interesting maison. Jan, when taking over the house in 2012, started to move the practice of the vineyards to organics. His father had abstained from any use of pesticides and herbicides in the vineyard for 20 years prior to that. So we do have a good pedigree of abstaining from any use of chemicals, which is amazing in terms of expressing the vitality and the terroir of the vineyards. Family business, really interesting wines. This wine in particular is amazing, aged under cork for a serious 5 years. So a very, very expressive wine. The cuvee that we're looking at from the Vadin-Plateau Maison is the Grande Reserve, the flagship of the house. We've got 60% Chardonnay, so we're leading with Chardonnay, which I personally love in a wine, 40% Pinot Noir. What I find really interesting about this cuvee, and what most people find as a surprise, it's aged under cork from beginning to the end. Now, not every bottle of champagne is aged under cork from the start. Most bottles of champagne are aged under a crown seal, under a cap. It seals off the oxygen completely, and then that cap is lifted off at the disgorgement phase, yeast out, dosage in, cork in, back to the cellar for the wine to gather its thoughts. The benefit of aging a champagne under cork is that you have a slow ingress of air throughout the duration of the time that it's aging in the cellar. But the cellar masters believe that there's no real benefit to be gained unless you've got a minimum 5-year aging cycle. Now, of course, this is more expensive. Everything must be done by hand, but you get a really interesting result. The wine has had access to oxygen, allows it to breathe. You have a wine that's a bit rounder, a bit more open, a bit slightly more oxidative, but I still think we've got an exceptionally defined cuvee on our hands. For me, when I first put my nose in the glass, it's lime, it's lemon curd, but then you've got that overtone of yeast and patisserie notes and creaminess, which is coming through, and that's from that extended yeast aging of 5 years in the cellar. The second producer that we're featuring this month in the Battle of the Extra Bruts is Nowack. Flavien Nowack is the winemaker at the Maison, and he is a super cool cat. He's definitely of the next wave of champagne producers who are doing something really interesting in the region. He's passionate, he's dynamic, he's got this focus on the expression of terroir, this sense of place. He took over the vineyard in 2011 and immediately started to swing in the direction of a natural winemaking process. He started the conversion of the vineyards to organic practices, so removing any use of chemicals, and then a movement towards biodynamics, so working as a holistic being in the vineyard, working to the principles of Rudolf Steiner. We have the house also located in the Vallée de la Marne, same as Vadin-Plateau. We have the house based in Vandieres, and I've got to say I love these champagnes. What's really interesting about Flavien is that he's single vintage, single parcel. Now, it doesn't say that necessarily on the front of the label. You do see the name of the vineyard, and in this case, we're looking at a vineyard parcel called La Tuilere, and hence the transition from the parcel of wine into the name of the bottle. And I think this is really a winemaker to watch. He's very much the new generation, the new young gun of the region, leading the charge in very expressive terroir-driven champagne practices. The cuvée that we're looking at is La Tuilere, and La Tuilere is 100% Chardonnay. It's a particular parcel of grapes. What I find super cool about this wine is that there is no intervention. So no malolactic fermentation. These are not sexy words, but I'm going to define them. Malolactic fermentation, often referred to as malo, is a process that most winemakers convert the wine through. It's taking the tart malic acid and converting it into creamier lactic acids. That's been held back in this instance. So we have those tart, vibrant, dynamic malic acid. We have no chaptalization, so we're not increasing the sugar to increase the alcohol content. We've got no fining, we've got no filtration, we've got no chemicals. We are as pure as wine can be. And if that is pure winemaking, then I am certainly on board, because this wine is amazing. You put your nose in the glass and you are reminded of why you love champagne. For me, this wine is dynamic, it's vibrant, you get really fresh, bright citrus characteristics, but you've also got this saline character, you know, this salty salinity and almost like this subtle clay characteristic that's coming straight out of the terroir of the Vallée de la Marne. On the palate, you've got tension and a vivaciousness, but it's not austere. Very low gram of sugar. You've got, 2 to 2.5 grams of sugar. So you might think it's austere, but it's not. It's got substance, it's got tension, it's got depth, and it is certainly a very inviting wine. I would be having this wine with caviar, with sushi, with oysters, with something that's as pure and simple and good as what this champagne is. When you have an Extra Brut champagne, there's nowhere to hide. You need exceptional viticulture, you need exceptional grapes, you need exceptional winemaking, and we see that in both of these cuvées this month. Supremely interesting wine from Vadin-Plateau, which has been aged under cork, very rare to see. Generally more expensive wines, as they are in the case this month. And then you have a winemaker as cool, as hip, and as talented as Flavien Nowack, who is as natural and as precise as any winemaker could be. I hope you enjoyed the Extra Bruts this month. Of course, they are healthier champagnes. If you are starting your new year with a New Year's resolution, I am as well. I hope you enjoy them both. In fact, I know you will enjoy them both. I look forward to seeing you at one of our events coming up this year. Don't forget, next month we have Roger Pouillon coming into town, super cool winemaker. We have events in Brisbane, on a yacht in Sydney, and at my home in Melbourne, and I look forward to seeing you there. Till the next episode.